This is the FCW Society podcast. Respect, encourage, celebrate. The FCW Society is dedicated to promoting and exploring feminist issues and interests while spreading the word and celebrating the fact that women are so fucking cool. FCWs are everywhere. And now, here's your host, Joanne Morton, the founder of the FCW Society, with her special guest. Hi, thanks so much for listening to this episode of FCW Society's Respect, Encourage, Celebrate podcast. Today's episode was recorded over a year ago with my really good friend Sharokin, her sister Helen, and their friend Persheng. And I wanted to have a conversation with these three women, not only because they're fucking cool, but because I wanted to hear more about what was happening in Iran and hear about the woman life freedom movement. So if you haven't heard about women life freedom, it's a global action in solidarity with Iranian women and girls who are courageously demonstrating peacefully for their fundamental human rights. And even though this happened, a lot of this stuff happened in 2022, um, it's still an issue, just as we women here in the United States are also fighting and speaking up about gender equality and discrimination against women. And so there's never, unfortunately, a time at this point in our human history that this topic isn't relevant. And I really wanted to share this conversation because um, as white women, we need to know. And as United States citizens, we need to know. So please enjoy this conversation and reach out to um, anybody if you want more information. And there's links in the show notes as well. So again, thanks for joining us. And here's the episode.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're going to take some time and ground ourselves and bring into mind our awareness and our breath and our bodies. So from the place where you're sitting, noticing the air in your lungs coming in through your nose and out through your mouth. Sensing the place where your feet are touching and kissing the ground, and your weight on your chair, and the force of gravity with the infinite force of Mother Earth pulling you down towards her. And coming in touch with the air in the room, with the infinite light of primordial source. Nourishing your whole self. And on your own, I want you to breathe in on a count of 3, breathing in and then holding on a count of 3 and then releasing on a count of 3. And then we can go into 4 breaths like that. Okay? So I'll ring the bell to start. Bring the breath to 3. And releasing the breath to 3. And keep going on your own pace. Gently transitioning to a comfortable breath for you, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And today we are gathering to recognize and hold space for our sisters in Iran, feeling the deep, infinite connectivity, working and imagining and visualizing and feeling connectivity and connection and connectedness. Feeling our hands holding other women's hands. Feeling our feet stepping together forward. Feeling our voices rising together. Feeling our oneness. Feeling the center of our humanness, the center of our consciousness, as the center of our freedom. Releasing all feelings, being left out, not being connected. Releasing feelings of not being one together. Releasing feelings of not being good enough. And instead, seeing that we all come from one spark of life. Breathing into this connectivity, visualizing it, feeling it in our own way. I am fully connected to every girl, to every woman, to every person who wants to be free in Iran, to every ethnic minority, to every older woman, to anyone, and especially to all the trans women, the lesbian women in Iran, and especially women in jails, and connecting to the hearts of mothers who are weeping. Moving to the second piece of wisdom here, from being connected to being perceptive. Breathing in our capacity to be sensitive, our capacity to be truly capable of having empathy. Having the capacity to expand our understanding and figuring things out. Not just what's happening there, but how what's happening there is being perceived here, how it's being digested here, how it's being spoken about here, or not, or how it's not seen. So releasing all that comes along, our frustrations with how things are perceived. Instead, bringing the gifts of being insightful, intelligent, and to be able to see what others can't see. Showering our pineal gland so that we can see clearly. Staying in this perceptive state, breathing and receiving the gifts of this method. Moving to the third gem and the last gem of infinite clarity, to be clear, a clear message, a clear communication, clarity in the vision we want to hold, clarity in knowing who to support and how to support, clarity in our intention, clarity in our boundaries, clarity and awareness of our privilege, clarity and awareness of our self-care. And breathing into that and receiving that. I'll ring the bell again to do some more deep breath. Breathing in for the count of 3, holding for the count of 3, and releasing for the count of 3. Holding and release. And in your own way for a few breaths and coming back to the room.
Wow, thank you so much. That was lovely, Sharokin. So tell us can you give us a brief introduction to the lovely ladies
Yes,
you're sharing with us today?
I will first give the honor to the guest here, who's Persheng, and introduce you to my good friend who is also an ethnic minority from Iran, Kurdish. And it's so serendipitous the way I met her, which happened to be that I was at an event that was about Iranians, and someone there mentioned there's another Iranian woman, and she was like, "Oh, my name is Persheng." I'm like, "Oh my God, are you the same person my friends are talking about who are not in that group?" And it turned out that she was, and we decided that we were going to have a very special bond together. And so then I introduced her to my sister, who is Helen, who is also here. So Persheng is a very fucking cool woman that I'm happy to bring to this podcast brunch. And she's a documentary filmmaker, and she's also a academic educator about film and documentaries, and she's an activist, and she's an avid co-counselor, which, by the way, all 4 of us are, or have been introduced to.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's super exciting. And Helen is in so many ways my extra parent, or a big sister in so many ways, not just in age, but also in the fact that she is someone I look up to. She's an acupuncturist, she's an artist, and she's a meditation leader. And I am so happy to see her. And she's an amazing mother. So happy to see her be here. And a musician too, by the way. So yeah,
Oh,
I'll just
oh my
keep moving.
goodness.
Yeah,
I know I know I love talking about women who we are fucking cool. I'm so grateful. And I guess I should tell we should share with those who are listening to this podcast brunch. What we do when we have brunches is we introduce the women that we invite to the brunch. And so I would like to share with everybody why Sharokin is so fucking cool as well. So she and I both live here in Savannah, and we met, years ago, and then our paths crossed again. And it was divine timing the second time around because it's been such a nice joy to have such a good friend, to be so supportive as well as a cheerleader. But she's an artist, and she's a shaman, and she is a healer, and she just inspires me with her ability to see the good in the world, as well as knowing how to recognize that all that isn't good doesn't have to destroy us or bring us down. And I think that's the reason why I bonded so much with her, and this and wanting to know more about what's going on around the planet, to a whole group of women that are being so fearless and strong. And I don't know anything that's going on. And I feel really bad and embarrassed. And I'm like, well, at least I have a friend who tells me. But this this is why I wanted to have a conversation with you, Cherokee and Helen and Persheng. I'm going to get the pronunciation before the end of this day. Um, but I'm so subconscious about it now. But whatever, fucking cool. People can do whatever what.
Fine.
Um, right. Um, but I wanted to talk about this. So tell us, why you wanted to come on and share this conversation with each other, Cherokee, and why it's so important.
I'd like to really hear from everyone else, but the reason I want to do this is because single-handedly, unapologetically, Iranian women have taken over the streets since September, and they've put their lives on the line, and they are fearless, and they're getting the support of other, including girls, of course, as many people as they can. And the world is coming together to make sure that there's the end of gender apartheid in Iran. So this is why it's important, because it's also awakening that in us here, wherever we are. Okay.
Yeah, it's the first time I think that women have risen up like this in many, many years now, maybe since the 70s when it was happening in the West. Although we did have our own uprising in the 70s too in Iran. But to, object to the way that women are treated, especially around the right to dress the way they want, and not be assaulted by men who seem to think that they can decide for women how they should dress in Iran. So, and they have made huge changes, despite the fact that it's the government is very powerful. But now, the women are walking around wearing what they want, which is kind of unheard of. We never thought we could believe that that day would happen, but it seems that it has happened for now.
Go ahead, Helen.
Okay. For me, this movement, when it just happened, when it sort of started like a wildfire, I look at metaphors, like how it started with a minority woman, a Kurdish young woman's death, or actually killing, and how on her grave this chant began, that it's a Kurdish women slogan that started, I believe, a decade before that, and then got basically very immediately that slogan moved to Tehran and all of Iran in Persian. The slogan was Jen Jian Azadi in Kurdish, and then in Persian, Zan Zindagi Azadi, which is women, life, freedom. And I had this sense that there's a huge shift, and that through just things matching in the right time at the right place, because women have been fighting all along for their rights in Iran, and brutality has been happening, but this energy of the slogan really moved it forward in a big way. And the reason why I talk to all my friends, particularly American friends, or wherever I go, I wear the shirts that I've been drawing, calligraphying shirts and just giving them away. At some point, I'm going to have folks to donate to a cause, to an activist group, and I'm in the process, but to spread the word, to reawaken that that fire that's moving through Iranian women. And of course, they're more oppressed, but everywhere women are oppressed as we speak. Our rights in this country in terms of body autonomy is being taken by choice, freedom, like choice in terms of abortion rights. I feel like this will, there's a reasons happening. And if we keep talking about it, as well as supporting, particularly supporting Iranian women, we empower ourselves in wherever we are, because women in South America are suffering, women all over are suffering. And here, even though we have many freedoms, we're still not there. But I feel this will help us also speak up and make changes as well.
Yeah, and the movement has inspired women around the Middle East. I heard today that in Afghanistan, women went out to the street and demonstrated against the way they're treated by the Taliban. And yeah, I know, it's great. So it's inspiring women all over.
Yeah, the forced staying at home, can't go to work and go to school.
Where are you finding your information? Who do you follow?
Follow a lot of different social media groups. On Instagram, Iranian women, and some groups are very active on Instagram. And, Helen is really up to date on it.
Yes. Also, I watch a lot of the Iranian satellite news. One station is Iran International.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of news is coming from Iran whenever they have internet, young folks and who are very savvy with sending information and videoing and sending. So we're getting firsthand news, and it makes you really aware how the news media here is really toning it down, not talking about it, or changing the messages. So I spend hours, and that's how I end up starting to do more and more calligraphy shirts. As I'm listening, I'm calligraphying, so I feel like I'm doing something and listening, and because when you listen to what's happening, it makes you very angry. When women are posting, young men are posting, people, mothers, everyone. So it's quite a revolution. I feel like the whole world can look at that revolution and really take a lot of lessons.
Yeah, and the gears have shifted. It's not going to change. It's not going to be the same for women in Iran in terms of going back.
Yeah, they have instigated, or whatever, not instigated, but started these huge fines, like, equivalent of thousands of dollars for not wearing the veil and things like that. But, no one seems to pay attention to it. They're just continuing on,
Yeah, I mean, the government is desperate and trying to figure a way to kind of dig themselves out of this, but they just can't.
Wow, it's a tipping point, right? Has it reached its tipping point?
Yeah.
However,
go ahead.
However, I want to say that it's a tipping point, and that's why it's so important we keep spreading this information, and particularly women in this country, to come in as allies, particularly, and people who are much more open-minded, because the forces of, let's call it, fundamentalism in that region, I feel, that's my perception, that it's keeping it at bay, because it's, at the end of the day, it's about a fundamentalist system, okay? And here, if we mirror it, also we are on a different scale, but we are dealing with this as a fundamentalist thinking system as well. And those powers actually, like there's this Persian song that says, take your hands off my throat. It's similar to, I feel like, what happened with Mr. Floyd. It's like if those forces don't keep supporting these fundamentalist groups, like the regime that's running Iran and the regimes that are and all over the world who are doing business with them, then this can really tip.
Yeah, I mean, look what's happening here with, abortion rights, and also, like the kids are not allowed to read certain books now in schools. So, if you don't stand up to these aggressions, soon you'll see that your world is very different. And that's what happened in Iran. And Iranian people tried to kind of work with it for many years. But now they've decided that, enough is enough, that they're not going to work with it anymore. And that can be an inspiration for us here too,
A good lesson, right? We don't, this was, yeah, history has its purpose sometimes. Yeah, 'cause it's always really interesting when you see pictures of Iran back in the 60s. It looked like, everybody else, and then something happened and boom. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
And also in terms of like what we can do here as Iranian American or Western Iranian women or just Western women, I think it's pivotal that we speak up, that it's like, if we fight for this, we have to fight for this, and we stand for all of this. So, and there's, besides putting information on social media about it and supporting the news that's coming out so that it gets some sort of tracking, because obviously CNN and ABC and none of that is going to cover it. I think it's really critical to think about how to support women there, how to build relationships with women there, to help enhance our capacity to listen to them, and create space for growth, for building relationships, for hopefulness, for healing, So, and what do you think, Helen or Persheng, about what we can do or can be done? Is it a matter of donating money? Is it a matter of, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that just to become educated is a big thing in the first place, and then each person can decide what is best for them. But like European women are a lot more aware of what's going on in Iran, so they're doing a lot, like French women, Italian women, they're doing a lot to support and get the word out. And like they sing sometimes, like they sing the same songs that we have in Iran, like, on social media, as a sign of, support, and or give money, whatever people come up with. People are creative; they come up with good ideas, So I don't know, Helen, do you have any?
I like what you said. I agree that women here are, even some of my close friends, like I always am boggled that I keep putting, and I think in the beginning I was getting a little bit frustrated and like, why? I have so many American friends. Why one is not posting what I'm like repost? That's what I would have done for her, but I couldn't. Of course, I'm not going to say, hey, why aren't you doing that? But and then at some point I was like, just sat back and just observing. Wow, that is interesting. What is it that, and I feel part of it. Again, I don't know what it is, but it's almost like, well, it's not our business or that kind of thing. But I would like friends to do that. I would love, and then tell each other, let's do that. Let's support Iranian women. This is what they're doing. Isn't amazing? And there was something else I wanted to.
Yeah, there are some people who are supporting. Who's that? There's this social media young
Yes,
woman who
yes.
posts all the time. I forget her name.
Yeah, she's sort of a comedian as well, right? Sorry.
The
Maybe
one that talks about treating.
What's her name?
Is it Jessica something? No. I'll
it'll come to me in a minute. So I'll share with you.
yeah, I can't think of her, but yeah, she's doing an amazing work of she actually comes to protests and give talks, and she's also a hardcore activist, which is but right now she's spending a lot of time supporting the Iranian women liberation
Is
movement.
this her Chelsea Hart?
Yeah.
Chelsea Harting.
Chelsea A. Hardy Smee. I don't know. Oh, it's basically Chelsea Hart. Or yeah.
Chelsea Hart. That's her name. Chelsea Hart.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna collect a bunch of links and share all those links with people so I could start following them.
Yeah, and if people are connected to universities, like that's also a good place. Like I teach, and I just had a series of films by Iranian women, and my students, they were kind of quiet, and I thought, oh, they don't care. But then when I read their, reviews of the film, they had really nice comments. It was nice to see that they were thinking about it, but they just maybe are shy or whatever and don't talk about it. But I think every little thing does make a difference.
Yeah, and also on the political level, there's a lot of a coalition of a lot of different people who have come together who are talking about helping support the structure of change in Iran from outside, but also to help them do their own, not doing it for them, as Iranian Americans or Iranian Westerners. But also here for the governments in our countries not to recognize and deal and talk to the Islamic Republic of Iran because it is a terrorist government, and how and who to speak to. So these are all things that are being discussed and figured out. And there's been a lot of symposiums in Washington, D.C. And
yeah, there are demonstrations every week in Washington, D.C.
Big cities like Atlanta, and even I think in Savannah there was one. So
yeah, I think LA and DC are almost every week, right? Persheng?
Yeah.
And not New York though, right?
No, once in a while they have. I think they had one like a week ago.
Okay. So that would be like if I were, that would be a great thing, like invitation to keep an eye and attend them if you're in those cities.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you've made me. I'm really glad that you said that you asked your friends. You want your friends to share their posts. I think I hear it, and I'm definitely going to make more of an effort to share the post because this is important stuff. And I think sometimes you can get overwhelmed, but hearing all of these really, in, it's inspiring things that are changing. It's worth the pain, I guess, because it's happening. So
yeah, a lot of women have a lot of young women have sacrificed their lives
and continue to do. I just saw a recent post from a young girl who had many bullets from a
blanks.
BB gun.
Because they shoot with BB gun most of the time on her upper thigh, and she's like, I'm just recovering, and I'm going to be right back in the streets. They're not going to stop us. They're not going to stop me. And trust me, I don't always get hit, but this time I got hit, and her phone was next to her, like her phone was hit, and her voice, her strength, her like, and I wish there was a coalition of, because that's the Gen Z of Iran.
Yeah.
They're really the firing force that are moving it, but it's on the backs of all the past activists and particularly women movements till now. But now this Gen Z is like quick. They know how to use social media and things are spreading. I wish there was a way to get the Gen Z, especially the activist groups in this country and other Western world and all the world, together with the Iranians and help them all, let them collaborate even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to tolerate this anymore. This generation being blinded, being burnt by cigarettes, being gassed to death. Yeah, it's all out, and it's not tolerable. They're not going to forget this. This is not, okay, we're going to beat them up enough so they're going to go hide in their hole. They're not going to do that. And, there's over 30,000, I don't know how many thousand people are jailed just in warehouses.
Yeah, they released many for New Year, but yeah, there's still a lot.
And these are they call them Nukhbahaye Iran, meaning the most intellectuals. Basically, this women activist remarked that it's a you can call it, Evin is a prison, but it's actually a university because it's filled with very, very educated folks.
Yeah, I mean, you have to realize that Iranian young women are really well educated. The rate of attendance for university is, it's like 60% of universities are female. Students are female. So they want to move ahead.
And
Yeah.
And do you think, Persheng, that's the reason why they're throwing poison gas in schoolgirls in girls' schools? Just
Well,
that education at some point.
I mean, that's not going to do any good. I think there's just scare tactics by some groups who think that they can do whatever they want. But, of course, it's going to be horrible for a little bit, but that's not going to stop any girls from going to school, no. Because look at the outcry against it. Everybody was out there, having a big outcry. So,
They stopped, right?
yeah, they stopped.
I know Taliban has been doing that for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. When I looked, it was like, it's a Taliban sort of a system of suppression of girls going to school.
Well, we're at that hour. Are you?
Yes, we are. Thank you. Yeah, but the fire inside of me is just so, we're here. It's like we're women, we're all one. The sharing their stories is so inspiring. Thank you, guys, women. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Joanne, for inviting us to the FCW podcast.
Yes, thank you for being generous with your time, and I hope you can spread that, and every spreading it to each and everyone is important, even one person.
Yeah, you're already starting the trend, John.
Well, it's my pleasure. All right. Well, thank you so much. And for everybody else, just, stay tuned for the next episode and spread the word.
Yeah.
Iranian women are fucking cool. Fucking cool women are everywhere.
Sure. And who knows, maybe before the end of this year or in the next 6 months, we may all go visit Iran.
Yeah, and have host a brunch. Yes, I'm there. Yes.
Yeah.
So,